The city of Lagos hummed like a living beast. Tunde Bello stepped out of the dusty Danfo bus at Obalende, his pressed shirt clinging to his back from the heat and tension. He checked his cheap knockoff wristwatch, 9:03 a.m. 3 minutes late. His palms clenched as he crossed the buzzing street, narrowly missing a speeding Kiki Nepep that honked like it was warning of war. "Tunde, where have you been?" his colleague Busy called from the front steps of the construction office. She looked flustered, sweat lining her brow. "The client's here," she whispered. "Big shot from Golden Heights Real Estate. Apparently, he brought his daughter." Tunde straightened his back and adjusted the rolled-up sleeves of his shirt. The mention of Golden Heights twisted something in his chest. That name, that company, he knew it. Everyone knew it. Owned by Chief Nathaniel Iwueke, a real estate tycoon whose influence bled into every part of Lagos, from government contracts to luxury estates. But for Tunde, that name had weight. Personal weight. 16 years ago, Chief Iwueke's buyout of a family-run construction firm in Surale had led to Tunde's father being wrongfully accused of fraud. That accusation had cost them everything: home, dignity, and his father's health. The man had died broke and humiliated. Tunde had vowed never to forget. He shook it off. He couldn't afford emotion today. This was the biggest project pitch of his life. He entered the modest but well-kept conference room, expecting a man in a stiff suit with a heavy presence. What he didn't expect was her. She was sitting at the far end of the room, legs crossed, one heel dangling lazily from her toe. Her hair was in a high puff, rich curls bouncing each time she moved her head. No jewelry. No pretense. Just a long mustard-colored gown, oversized sunglasses resting on her forehead, and a look of utter disinterest on her face. And yet, everything about her screamed control. "Mr. Bello," said the older gentleman beside her. The voice came from a thick-set man in a grey agbada. "I'm Mr. Iwueke, Chief Iwueke's executive partner. This is Amara, his daughter, and head of the creative division." Tunde forced a smile and extended his hand. "A pleasure, Miss Amara." She looked him up and down like she was examining a street vendor's plantain. "No offense," she said flatly, "but I hope your designs are better than your time management." Busy coughed awkwardly. Mr. Iwueke chuckled nervously. But Tunde, he felt heat rise up his neck. "I believe results speak louder than minutes," he replied, voice calm but clipped. Amara raised an eyebrow. "Good. Let's see if you can back that up." The presentation began. Tunde's heart beat like a drum, but his hands were steady. His blueprint was bold. Modern, sustainable housing fused with African aesthetic. His pitch: flawless. Even Mr. Iwueke was nodding. But Amara? She leaned back, arms crossed, and every so often, smirked. When he finished, she stood, walked up to the table, and pointed to a sketch. "This design," she said. "You use stained glass on the outer lounge roof. Why?" "It represents the fractured history of our cities," he replied smoothly. "How beauty can still rise from brokenness." For the first time, her smirk faltered. Mr. Iwueke stood. "I think we have a promising proposal here, Amara." She hesitated. Then turned, her words slow. "We'll call you." Later that day, as the sun dipped low over Third Mainland Bridge, Tunde sat on the edge of his one-room apartment mattress, replaying every moment of that meeting. Who the hell did she think she was? And why was her voice still ringing in his ears? Meanwhile, in a mansion on Banana Island, Amara swallowed a glass of wine. He was rough around the edges, she told her friend over the phone. But there's something raw. Like he's not afraid of me. Sounds dangerous, her friend teased. Amara smiled. Exactly. 3 days passed. Ton tried to forget about Amara Iwueke. He focused on other projects, worked late nights, drank too much Gary when he was broke, and cursed silently when Nipper took light at the worst times. But she lingered. Her voice. That face. That frustrating confidence. He told himself it was just anger. But when his phone rang on a Thursday morning, and he saw the caller ID, Golden Heights Limited, he knew the truth. He wanted to see her again. Mr. Bello, came the polite female voice on the line. You've been shortlisted as the lead architect for the Lekki Haven project. You're requested at a follow-up site visit tomorrow morning. His breath caught. This was it. The life-changing contract. But his stomach turned as she added, Miss Amara Iwueke will be supervising the creative team directly. The next morning, he arrived at the site, an expanse of sandy land near Lekki Phase 1. Palms swayed in the salty breeze. Excavators stood idle. A few SUVs were parked nearby. And then she arrived. Not in a car. On a black Vespa scooter. Helmet. Jeans. No makeup. She was chaos in a city of control. Mr. Bello, she called, removing the helmet, curls flying free. I see you showed up on time this round. Ton narrowed his eyes. You didn't seem the type who'd care for punctuality. She smirked. I care about consistency. Even in your sarcasm. He almost smiled. The site tour began. Amara asked tough questions. She challenged his designs, pointed out flaws, even accused one of his models of being a little too safe. You play it careful, she said, watching him. Why? I play it smart, he replied. You can't afford recklessness when you've got everything to lose. She stared at him, that half-laugh dying in her throat. They paused at the edge of the plot, looking over the lagoon. The sun was high, Lagos traffic murmured in the distance. Is this just a project to you? She asked quietly. Another check. No, he said after a moment. This is redemption. She blinked. Redemption. He hesitated. For my father. For what your father did to him. Amara turned slowly. Excuse me. Your father ruined his life, Ton said, voice flat. Stole his company, branded him a fraud, left us in the gutter. So no, this isn't just a project. She looked stunned, but only for a second. Then her eyes hardened. You think I owe you something? No, he replied. But I want you to understand why I won't let anyone, not even you, stand in my way. Amara took a deep breath, her face unreadable. I didn't know about that, she said. But I'm not my father. And I won't apologize for him. You don't have to, he said. Just stay out of my way. Not a chance, she snapped. I'm still the creative director. And she walked off, hips swaying, voice echoing in his ears like thunder. That night, she couldn't sleep. Amara lay on her rooftop balcony, watching the stars disappear behind clouds. She hadn't expected the heat in his voice. The way it rattled something inside her. He wasn't just ambitious. He had fire. Pain. Passion. It made him dangerous. And maddeningly attractive. The next 2 weeks were war. Every meeting became a battleground. She questioned his angles. He challenged her aesthetics. She accused him of being too rigid. He accused her of being reckless. Yet somehow, they couldn't stay away. There were late-night phone calls about design. Unscheduled site visits. Arguments that ended in lingering silences. A brush of hands over a blueprint that sent sparks through his spine. And then, one rainy evening, everything changed. They had stayed late at the site office to finalize some structural corrections. A storm rolled in, thunder shaking the windows. The light flickered, then went out. Amara laughed. "Welcome to Nipo's Lagos." Ton lit a candle from his bag. "I come prepared." She looked at him through the flickering flame. "You really hate me, don't you?" she whispered. He met her eyes. "I want to." "Why don't you?" He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer. She didn't move. "I've spent weeks fighting you," he said, voice low. "But I can't stop wanting you." She swallowed. Then slowly, recklessly, she closed the gap between them. Their lips met. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was raw. Years of anger, pain, attraction, and pride exploded in one hungry, desperate kiss. And neither of them wanted it to end. The rain outside didn't stop. Neither did they. When their lips finally parted, both were breathless. Ton's hands trembled, not just from desire, but from the weight of what they'd done. Amara touched her lips like she was unsure if it was real. "We shouldn't have done that," she whispered. Ton's chest rose and fell. "You kissed me back. And I want to do it again," she admitted, "but you're right. We shouldn't. Because of your father. Because of everything." She stepped back, her silhouette a shadow in the candlelight. But the distance only made the ache sharper. "We have to keep this professional," she added. Whatever that was, it didn't happen. Ton scoffed softly. "Is that what we're doing now?" Denial. Amara turned sharply, anger in her eyes. "You think it's easy for me to want the son of the man my father destroyed? What do you think will happen if anyone finds out?" Ton stared at her, pulse still racing. "I don't care. You should." She grabbed her jacket and left, the door slamming behind her. But neither of them slept that night. Days passed. They avoided each other, pretending nothing had changed. But it had. At meetings, their eyes found each other across the room. At the site, they stood too close, but never touched. Every accidental brush of hands was a landmine. It was torture. Then one evening, Ton found her waiting by his old Corolla after a meeting. "What are you doing here?" She looked nervous. "I couldn't stop thinking about you." He swallowed. "We agreed." "Screw what we agreed." She grabbed his shirt, pulled him in, and kissed him again. This time, there was no rain, no darkness. Just heat, plain and bare. They barely made it into his apartment. The room was small, but none of it mattered. The fan squeaked overhead, the walls thin, but in each other's arms, it was like the world faded away. They made love like people who had been waiting their whole lives for that moment. No pretense. No lies. Just bodies and truth. Afterward, they lay tangled on his mattress, the city sounds humming beyond his window. "This is madness," she whispered, tracing his chest with her fingers. "I don't care." "I do," she admitted. "But I want it anyway." Ton chuckled. "You're a dangerous woman, Amara Iwueke. And you're an infuriating man, Tunde Bello." They kissed again, slower, deeper. The affair began. Secret rendezvous in obscure parts of the city. Quick kisses stolen in elevators. Texts sent at midnight, deleting them by morning. No one could know, not his friends, not her family, especially not her father. But secrets in Lagos are like rain in the dry season, sooner or later, they come. One evening, at an upscale cocktail event for investors, Tunde was invited to present his updated models. He wasn't prepared for the shock of seeing Chief Nathaniel Iwueke in person. The man was tall, imposing, with grey at his temples and a cold, assessing gaze. Beside him, Amara stood in a sleek black gown, unreadable. When Tunde finished, Chief Iwueke clapped politely. "Well done, Mr. Bello," the chief said. "Impressive work, but your name rings a bell." "Bello. Bello, where have I heard it?" Tunde's jaw tightened. "Maybe in the construction industry, sir." Perhaps." Amara's eyes warned him, "Don't." But Tunde held back the storm inside. Afterward, as the event wound down, Amara found him by the terrace. "My father's suspicious," she said quietly. "He should be. This is getting dangerous." "I don't care." She touched his face gently. "But I do." There was fear in her eyes. Not for herself, but for him. "Tunde, he'll destroy you if he finds out." The last time a man crossed him, it ended in ruin. Tunde chuckled darkly. "He already destroyed me once. Please, be careful." Their eyes locked. The city lights below flickered like distant stars, but Tunde only saw her. "I'm not walking away from you, Amara," he said. "Not now." She smiled sadly. "Then God help us both. Secrets are fragile things. And in Lagos, they don't stay buried long." It began with whispers. One of the junior architects, a sly and jealous man named Kenny, noticed the glances. The way Amara laughed only when Tunde was nearby. The subtle but unmistakable electricity between them. And Kenny talked. By the time Chief Iwueke's personal assistant heard of it, the story had already twisted. Amara sleeping with that poor architect. He's manipulating her to secure the contract. The assistant passed it on to the chief himself. The day of reckoning arrived sooner than anyone expected. Tunde was at the construction site when two black SUVs pulled up. Chief Iwueke stepped out, flanked by two stern-faced men. Everyone stopped walking. Silence rippled across the workers like a wave. Tunde Bello, the chief backed. Tunde turned, wiping sweat from his brow. "Sir. Come here." Tunde approached cautiously. The air felt heavy, like a storm about to break. "You've been quite busy, haven't you?" the chief said, voice like steel. "I don't understand." "I think you do. My daughter. You think sleeping with her would fast-track your poverty into prosperity." Tunde's fist clenched. The workers watched, eyes wide. "I care about your daughter," he said, voice steady. "This isn't about money." The chief laughed coldly. "You care about her. You're a nobody." "I'm a man, sir," Tunde snapped. "And I love her." Gasps rippled. The chief's eyes burned. "You're finished, Bello. I'll make sure no firm in Lagos hires you again. I'll burn your career to ashes." He turned and walked back to his SUV. Amara appeared moments later, running, breathless. "What happened?" she asked. He knows, Ton said. And is coming for me. She paled. Ton. I told you I didn't care. She shook her head, tears welling. But I do. I can't let him ruin you. What are you saying? She stepped closer, her voice breaking. We have to end this. The words stabbed deeper than any threat her father made. No, Ton whispered. Don't do this. He'll destroy everything you've built. I won't let that happen. You're choosing him. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing your future. He grabbed her hand. Amara. She pulled away, tears falling freely. I'm sorry. Then she was gone. The days that followed were hell. The contract was cancelled. Clients withdrew suddenly, citing professional concerns. His firm was blacklisted. Ton lost everything again. He tried calling her. Texted. Waited outside her estate. No answer. It was like she'd vanished. Weeks passed. Then one night, as Ton sat in his dark room, phone dead, pockets emptier than his heart, there was a knock on the door. He opened it, and there she was. Soaked from rain, trembling, but defiant. Amara. I left, she said. What? I left my father's company. His money. Everything. Why? She stepped forward, cupping his face with cold hands. Because I'd rather have nothing with you than have everything without you. Ton's throat closed. Amara. She kissed him, slow, deep, certain. I love you, she whispered. I've loved you through every fight, every stupid argument, every night I tried to forget you. But I can't. I don't want to. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her close, feeling her heart race against his. I love you too. The rain outside poured harder, but inside that room, there was warmth, finally. They rebuilt together. She used her design connections to start an independent firm with him. He taught her the discipline of structure, she taught him the wildness of dreams. They fought still, but they loved harder. Eventually, clients returned. Slowly. Carefully. But surely. They designed Lagos's most iconic mixed-use space together, the Bridge, a towering symbol of unity between old wealth and new blood. At the grand opening, as the press gathered, a reporter asked, Mr. Bello, is it true you and Miss Iwueke are now married? Ton smiled, pulling Amara close. Not yet. But she's been my partner, in every way that counts. Amara beamed. And he's still infuriating. Laughter rippled. Under the city lights, they kissed. No more hiding. No more fear. Just love. Pure. Defiant. Unbreakable.